We're here. We're going to talk tonight about a few things that your father should have told you. I came across this list in 2016, 2017. I'll put a link down in the description, but essentially it was a list of 30 things that most guys should know by the time they reach adulthood. And this list assumes that your father should have told you, but it really should be things your bros are telling you, things influential men in your life are telling you, and just about being a responsible gentleman. Boys, I know you've had the opportunity to take a look at this list. We're going to tackle the first 10 tonight. Do you have one that jumps off as your favorite from this first top list?
Uh, hmm. I know one that I learned probably the hard way, and it's a stupid one. Shave with your grain on the first go around, right? Like when you're growing up, you watch those like Gillette commercials. Like no one tells you that the dude that's shaven has already shaved or had like someone professionally shave them, and they're just literally like wiping shaving gel off.
Yeah, right.
Like I always went for that like complete like all against everything first way to get it super smooth, and like 2 days later, like 30 seconds later, there's like little dots bleeding
Oh,
everywhere,
man.
ingrown hairs everywhere, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? Why does my skin look like this? So that's definitely one that I always watched my dad shave, but it was like I think it was assumed I knew how to do it just by observation,
Sure.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
you
for
see it
sure.
in movies, and you do practice as a kid with the shave cream foam and things like that. So
Yeah,
it does come naturally. But I have hacked my face to death with a
yeah.
razor.
Also,
And
like,
basically, in an effort to get the closest shave possible, why did I care
yeah,
whether or not my skin was smooth?
yeah. No one cares. Number one. Number two, like, there should also be some sort of like guidance. We're holding a razor to our face. Like, you could really do some damage if you have no clue what you're doing. Like, there should at least be like a three-step process or something of like how to shave, how much pressure to apply,
Yeah,
like what vital areas to like maybe take notice in. Um, yeah, shaving was a big one for me too. Also because when I swam, and if you don't notice, like swimmers for big swim meets shave their entire body.
yeah.
Like, God bless women for how much they have to shave on their body, because I remember the first swim meet I had to shave on, like going over my shin bone was
Yeah,
like just
right.
2 layers of skin right off my shin bone on the first swipe, right? So,
I would say I'm definitely better at shaving my balls than I am shaving my neck. uh,
you,
wait,
you
when
almost you almost understand the fact that like when you're doing that, you're letting the weight of the razor do most of the work.
yeah, yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
on your face, you're just like grinding in there. I got to get this done. You're being more careful. That's it. That's the approach.
yeah.
so do you guys use like a particular razor? Are you like cheap? Do you just buy what's on sale? Are you single blade? Are you like straight edge?
Denny, I'll
I
let you
actually,
go first on this one. Go ahead.
so I use a Dollar Shave Club or like Harry's.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, clearly I get a lot of use out of my razors. I shave my head more frequently than I do my face. Uh,
Okay.
so I did read something online that was talking about, and really wound up being helpful for me, was uh, if you have more coarse, longer hair and you're going to shave, or you shave longer in between periods of time, uh, you should have more, less, I think it was less blades
Okay.
than more, because it's not grabbing as much. It's cutting more cleanly. Uh, so I find like it's like 3 blades tops,
Okay.
like when I do shave. Uh, but again, with my head, I typically use like, it doesn't matter.
Whatever you
It's
got.
it's always so sure. I can use one of those like, 10
Yeah,
blades
yeah.
on something like that. So, but yeah, on my neck, because I only cut my neck like once a week, it's like a much less blades.
Yeah.
But definitely I can't use the same one because it'll just rip me up. The
Sure.
stubble on my head will just destroy my neck. So
What about
it
you,
always
BB?
has to be sharp.
When I was about 17, Gillette sent me a Mach 3 in the mail. It was when
Okay.
it first hit the market. And I was a Mach 3 guy for years. And then over the decades, I've switched over to just electric razor. I always just
Okay.
go real short with electric razor. You don't get the burn, you don't get the rash. but I still use the Mach 3. So they hooked me when I was 17, and I've been doing it for 20 some years.
Does anyone remember the gimmicky battery powered Mach 3?
Yeah, it was supposed to
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like vibrated, so it like
Yeah, now
yeah.
now vibrating blades on your neck.
I'll tell you, my game changer, I've tried everything except for electric, but I've like kickstarted like single blades that are supposed to be better and all this sort of stuff. My game changer was like a cheap, like, I mean, they're supposed to be like beaver skin or whatever, but like an actual
Yeah,
brush.
the Badger.
Badger.
Plus
Yeah.
Plus,
And just like legit shaving cream. I think I get like the Parasso from like Italy. That's what the dude used when I went over and had like an actual straight razor shave in Italy. And ever since then, a little bit of that avoids all the irritation for me.
Awesome. Well, shaving was definitely a great place to start. The next one on the list here is to buy high quality tools, so you only have to buy them once. We have had many debates about this very issue on Verdicks and in our personal lives. I'm 50-50 on this one. I do believe in buying quality, but I think it all depends on the type of job that you're trying to do. When it comes to hand tools, I think you should buy high quality wrenches, socket wrenches, high quality screwdrivers. I think those things do make a difference, and you will have them over a lifetime. But when it comes to a miter saw or a palm sander, I have no problem going to Harbor Freight, getting the $30 tool with a 20% coupon and burning it to the ground, because for the most part, I haven't been able to wear any of those tools out so far, and I've been really impressed with their quality.
Yeah, my logic with that is always the tools that I'm going to be using the most. Yeah, buy the quality ones. They'll last longer, they hold up better, batteries, all that stuff. But for something that is, I'll use it 2 times over the 30-year period of time that I own it. Yeah, I'm buying the cheaper, Harbor Freight version of it.
We had to use a micrometer today at work to measure like a tiny bolt head. We have like 5 of them. All 5 that were like $70 a pop were broken and busted. The like $11 one from Harbor Freight has like a cracked screen, right? And looks like it's been through a war, and that SOB fired right up, and it was the only one that worked out of the lot, right? So
I just want to go on the record and say that we are not sponsored by Harbor Freight, but if Harbor
would love
Freight
to be,
would like to reach out, we will happily support your products. Thank you so much, Mr. Harbor Freight.
Yeah. So it's a crapshoot, it is a crapshoot. My miter saw, why would I pay? I think I paid like $150 with a coupon for like a 12-inch sliding miter saw, which like with a stand and everything, like DeWalt and Ryobi would set me back like $550-$600, and I'm pretty sure it's the same exact thing. So
yeah, and then that comes down to the blade itself, right? You buy the diamond one or the regular one. For most around the home projects that we're going to be getting into, it's fine. Just get the regular standard one.
Yeah.
The next one on the list is interesting. Keep a change of clothes at the office, or in the trunk of the car, I might add. Right? Be ready to go out and play some basketball afterwards. Be ready if the cute girl in the office wants to go take a walk in the park. Keep an extra pair of shoes. You never know what life is going to throw at you. You could shart yourself and be left in a real bind. So yeah, keep an extra change of clothes within reach, I would say.
Yeah, I can second that. I mean, typically I go to work or the gym in the morning, so I always have like a workout outfit in the car. And there are some times where it's come in handy at work where I had to do something where I didn't want to get the thing I was wearing all jacked up, or in instances like that. Especially if you're like an office job and you're just walking around in like khakis and a button down, like definitely have something where if something pops up, you can just switch into that, because there's nothing worse than having to I don't know, fix a flat tire or change a tire or something like that for someone at work or one of your employees in your Gucci suit.
Yeah. And I'd like to say that if these are things your dad should have told you, this would never have applied to my dad.
Yeah, either my dad. Yeah. As a construction worker. Yeah. Well, you know what? I feel like my dad might have done this. I feel like because of the type of work he did, the chemicals that he was around, I think he's the type of person that, if it was a particularly rough day at work or a hot day at work, he would have gotten changed for the ride home. So, I think it might have.
I can attest to that, having a job where I often, at least earlier in my career, was out in the field an awful lot.
Yeah.
Between getting muddy, wet, but also working with hazardous chemicals, things like asbestos and stuff like that. If I'm in an old dusty building, collecting samples for asbestos, stuff like that, I come home. If I don't have a change of clothes with me, I make sure that it's like the number one rule is no one can touch me until I get changed.
Sure.
And it would probably be more beneficial just to have a change of clothes. But yeah, last thing I want is my kids running up and giving me a hug, breathing in everything that's on my clothing from the day. So.
The other good thing about having like a spare change of clothes in the car is like if you always carry a hoodie or something like that, lo and behold, if you go out to eat, if you go to the movies with your girl or something, they're always going to forget to bring their jacket. If you've got a hoodie in the car or a sweater, you don't have to hear that. Like as soon as you walk into the movie theater, like it's freezing in here. All right, well,
I always just go, I told you so. Sorry. You want one of my extra pair of gloves? The next one's interesting. Never hit anyone unless they're an immediate threat. I'm more of a lover than a fighter, but I think that's pretty obvious. And if they are immediate threat, I think it's okay to punch them first. Don't get hit first. Punch the fucker first.
Yeah,
I'm talking immediate threat. Like you know it's going to happen. Punch him first. Don't get hit.
I think the thing is like, if you consciously know before you go into a situation that there's a threat of violence, you probably just shouldn't go into that situation, right? Like that's probably the best rule of thumb. Like if you're already contemplating in your head like how you need to protect yourself or how you need to watch your back or something, you probably just shouldn't go to that area. But people nowadays are crazy. I don't really think violence solves anything. I think even if you were quote unquote victorious or something, all that does is just prolongs something inevitable happening where someone seeks revenge and stuff. It's not like the old days, it's not like where our parents grew up and like there was a tussle and you shook hands at the end. Now it's like 4 people show up at your doorstep, and it's just kind of crazy. But
yeah,
obviously if you have to defend yourself, defend yourself.
Yeah, that you gave great advice because I completely agree. Avoid conflict at all circumstances. I mean, it could be as bad as you hitting your head on the concrete and dying, or even chipping a tooth. All of those things would be a big problem in your life that you don't need.
There's nothing cool about walking into the board meeting with a black eye and a swollen lip. Like
having to explain that to everybody.
You can't explain that shit to your boss. No matter how hard you try, you don't look cool. No one is like, okay. Like
you're at a sporting event and the guys around you are rowdy and being assholes. Just remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah, go get a beer.
Don't engage. Yeah, don't hang around and wait for it to happen. Just get out of there.
Yeah, you can always see those guys.
Yeah, like you said, showing up to work at 40 with a black eye because you felt you were defending your honor for some reason rather than just
my wife was
situation
carrying a board and it hit me in the face squarely right here, that flat object. Yeah.
This next one I take rather personally. I enjoy wearing hats. I have maybe 40 of them in a rotation. Every hat should serve a purpose. And while I'm a hat guy, I actually do agree with this. I don't follow it, but I do agree that if you're going to wear the cowboy hat, make sure you're cowboying. If you're wearing that beach hat, make sure you're, in the blazing sun. I think hats should have a purpose and be less of a fashion statement.
Well, I think at our age, like if you're wearing a hat as a fashion statement, you probably don't have any fashion, right? Like,
yeah, that's why I wear hats.
Yeah. I have like my
You're not wearing a beanie in the summer.
Yeah, Tim Pool style. I'm calling you out, Tim Pool.
I know I had like my lawn mowing hat, so that definitely served a purpose, like the one that just got beat to shit. I have hats that I particularly run in because they're just contoured to my hat. They're broken in, they're nasty, like they get washed every week, that sort of stuff. I look at hats all the time that I want to buy, and then I think to myself, how often do I wear a hat? Like there's multiple times when we go out on the weekends where I'm like, I'm going to wear a hat today. And then I put a hat on and I'm like, I'm not going to wear a hat. Like, I think Younger days, yeah. Now, if I have a hat, it probably does have a purpose, or I just think it's cool because it's like something my daughter gave me or something like that.
How about the fedora? Have you guys tried one of those?
No, I can't rock one.
Yeah. And one other issue as a guy with hair here, why put a hat on if you have hair? And two, it's gonna mess up your hair. Somebody
Yeah.
came to a party I was at this weekend wearing a fancy German hat. And when he took it off, his hair was a mess. He had to spend the whole rest of the party with messy hair. Like that's way worse than showing off your German
Yeah.
hat. So the purpose of that hat is to make you look dumb, I guess.
The other thing too is like I don't care what I look like in a hat anymore either. Like if I know I'm going to be out in the blazing sun and I look dumb in a bucket hat, I'm still going to wear a bucket hat.
Oh yeah,
You know?
I gave up caring about looking dumb a long time ago. It's fantastic.
Yeah. On the rare occasion I get to golf and stuff, like my neck just gets roasted. Like that bucket hat with that stupid wide brim on is on. Like I don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one on the list is to never take her to the movies on the first date. Funny enough, we were talking about this just last week, and it's one I completely stand by. If you go to the movies on a first date, you're missing all the opportunity to have a conversation and to get to know someone. And they're going to know how much popcorn you eat and probably be turned off by some of the noises you're making in the dark and whether or not you jump when it's a scary movie. So it
Cry when it's a Pixar movie.
Yeah, got popcorn in my eye. Yeah, so
So
just
now-
go to the movies on the first date.
Now I've got
Tell us.
questions about this now because I've been married 15 years and our first date was to the movies.
All right.
So it does work, but it's also a different time. Whereas like it wasn't like someone I met on the street and said, "Hey, would you like to go out?" And
It's not
this
like a
is the first time we
Tinder
met.
date. Yeah,
Right,
it's not
there-
like
there
we met
were-
on an app. Yeah.
Right. So there was conversation that was had in order to get to know one another
Yeah.
prior to meeting in person. So I think it's a little different now with the times because you kind of already know that person. It is still your first, if it's your first face-to-face meeting. Probably would have been best to maybe go get dinner first and then go to the movies, but it's not impossible.
It's a giant roll of the dice too. Like, what if they don't like the genre of movies that you like? Like,
Yeah.
what if they're into like the Sundance films with subtitles and you're like, I just want to see something that makes me giggle, like
Yeah.
it is a risk.
Yeah. And when you're the guy and you're just trying to impress them, you go to whatever movie they want to. And it winds up being a crappy indie film at some small theater and with a coffee
Limited
bar.
showing.
And,
They don't offer popcorn in that theater.
Yeah.
I'll give you one. I went to the movies by myself a couple times and it was fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
It was great. Sit by myself, leave when I wanted to leave. It was awesome.
One of the best movie experiences I've ever had is on a Disney cruise. Like, because they show all their like new movies that are out in the theater on the cruise ship. You can hop in there. There's like one person else in the movie theater. Go and see a movie. They give you all the popcorn you want. Yeah, it's a great experience.
All right, very cool. We covered the wet shave. Rule number whatever. Nothing looks more badass than a well-tailored suit. I couldn't agree more. Everybody knows that your suit should be tailored so it fits appropriately. And you can tell when you didn't invest the $30 extra and the 1 hour it would have taken you to get it fitted.
30. Those things, those SOBs are like 100 plus nowadays.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it's worth it. 110%. Also, like if you get a suit, don't get like boot cut suit like pants. Like taper that stuff. Taper that stuff off, show off the physique a little bit. It's not the 90s anymore where it's cool to be baggy. Like it should be like your European style, nice tailored suit.
I don't think I've ever had a well-fitted suit. And whenever I did buy one and it needed to be tailored, I went to the dry cleaner around the corner where
that
they did
counts
a quick
though. That's what
fitting.
I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I would imagine that you had pretty nice suits in your day, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, I have a bunch. The thing is like one of the bad things about suits is like once you get it tailored, you have to keep that physique, right?
Yeah,
So
dude.
like if there's ebbs and flows and like
There's no wiggle room.
Yeah, your like motivation to work out. Like, I don't know, maybe it'll help some people. Maybe like really get into that badass shape and then be like, I'm gonna go buy myself a suit because I'm gonna look great. And
Dude,
then
I
once
did
you spend
just
that money,
that.
it's like, okay, now I've got to maintain this. Otherwise, I look like a dick when I put it on. But yeah, I have like 2 suits downstairs that I got in like my chubby phase, and I look like an NFL star or NBA star getting drafted in the 90s when I put them on. Like it's just not a good look.
Denny was always one to show up in a colored suit too. He would have a tan suit or
I've got to. I see. I thought a tan suit would be cool, and apparently, like Barack Obama is cool in a tan suit. Like me in a tan suit in sunny Florida, people were like, "That's brave," and I was like, "What? It's tan suit?" Like I thought that was cool.
The press grilled him so bad when he wore a tan suit. You would have thought that was the biggest controversy we had ever.
That was the worst thing to happen.
I thought tan suits were cool, but definitely go with the basics. Your black, your gray, like a navy blue.
Yep.
Not a fan of striped suits unless you're in the mafia.
My first suit was to go to like a 10th grade dance, and my dad's like, look at this is double breasted. And I got a double breasted suit. Like, just a straight box that I put on over my
shoulder pads.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, like don't skimp on the accessories. Like nice belt, don't get a nice suit and then have like the belt that you wear to work as like your brown belt and like a pair of like Dockers like as your shoes. Like it's got to all go together.
What's your take on the item known as the reversible belt?
If I have a couple high quality reversible belts.
Me too.
Like when Joey got married, I forgot my belt, so I had to run out and buy one in New York. So I got like a polo reversible belt, and it's not half bad. It's versatile. The worst thing about belts is when they just start to like crack. Like the leather starts to crack. It's like, God damn it.
And the sizing is always off. You're like, well, if I wear 34 pants, why is belt?
Or the
why
brown?
does this barely fit?
I'm not a big fan of black shoes. So I try to wear brown with everything. Black with brown shoes, blue with brown shoes, gray with brown shoes. I just don't like black dress shoes. So it's always tough for me to find like the right shade of brown that matches my shoe. It's always like too dark because I like the lighter brown shoes. But
well, I think that's the general rule of thumb that you need to take away here is that your leather should match. So if you brown shoes, you could even wear brown shoes with a black suit as long as your leathers match.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
And like Nick, you go to Joey's wedding and you forget your belt. I just went without one and it was cool.
I can't pull that look off. Some people can. I can't pull that.
Fat dudes are great at
it.
Yeah. What about suspenders?
I would like the idea of the suspender look, but I think it would just look ridiculous, like coming up around over, around belly. So
I think I could use suspenders just wearing jeans though. Like I think that might actually work out pretty good. Keep my plumber's crack in.
Yeah, like you're doing some work around the house. Like
just put my suspenders on.
If you wanted parents to like not want their kids around you, that's the look to go for.
Well, I'll put it under my t-shirt. You won't even see
What's the feeling on French cuffs?
It feels
I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it feels antiquated to me.
Yeah.
They're
also massive.
That many accessories.
Like they're massive. Like one of the biggest things that I hate about suits is like when you want a little bit of your shirt collar, to show on the suit, like when you're keeping your hands and stuff like that. Once the French collar has like breached the suit, it's like out, it's like this big thing that you got to like tuck back in. Like
you're like Prince. You might as well have the big ruffle coming up out of the top.
I'll tell you another area where I am old school here. I love a button down collar. I don't like open tab collar.
Oh yeah.
It has to button for me.
Have the buttons.
Absolutely is a must.
Yeah. And also if you're gonna wear suits a lot, invest in like the nice stainless steel tabs.
They work pretty good.
Keep it. Like keep it crisp. Yeah. They'll keep it nice.
Great.
Yeah.
Just a couple more here. We talked about shaving with the grain on the first go around. Next, always look a person in the eye when you talk to them. I think that's just trying to be a decent human. coming off sincere or being sincere.
Yep.
Just good general rule of thumb. Look at me when I talk to you. That's
Yeah, I mean,
a way of saying that. But,
I read a book from like an FBI not investigator, I guess like a interrogator or something. And it's all about body language. And if you're not looking someone in the eye or you're looking left to the right, like there's no trust. They think that you're making it up on the fly, you're lying, you're disrespectful. Like it's just common courtesy. It's probably harder for today's generation who does a lot of communication over the computer or through text messages. So I think it's becoming more of a lost art, but it was definitely like the art of like the deal, you know, back in the day, like the firm handshake, look me in the eye when I talk to you type deal. Like those are like the old school mentalities that they just never go out of style for me.
It's one actually where last week I noticed my kids weren't doing it. We were out to dinner, and like I've now made it like a point, like, you know, they had their head down. I said, no, do it again. Look that person in the eye, tell them what you want, engage with them, you know, like, and so it's that, like, you're right, Nick. I think for younger kids, obviously it's a comfort thing,
Yeah.
but it's also a
Timidness and stuff,
generational thing. So something that we're working on getting out of them to, look me in the eye, tell me what the situation is, tell me what you want, you know, engage.
yeah.
Confidence builder.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. The last one on the list here tonight, to buy a plunger before you need a plunger. And I feel like this one is bigger in scope here. Basically, be prepared for any outcome, right? But also own a plunger.
But also that might be the most important.
Like,
Yeah.
make sure you have a plunger.
That may be number one. Like in a literal sense, that is, if you do not, when you need one, you are screwed.
Oh man, and the alternatives, like trying to flush buckets of water down the toilet, or you know,
I'll come back to this later.
a coat hanger down there.
Maybe it'll dissolve or something.
Yeah. So make sure, just buy the plunger, man.
Also,
and buy a nice one. Like,
yeah.
You're gonna have it.
But like, know how to use it too. Like, right? Like, same thing with like shaving. Like, you have to know how to use the tool to be successful as well. Like, because I've seen people attempt to use a plunger and it's like you're just basically moving the water in the bowl around. Like, you gotta know what you're doing, man. You gotta know what you're doing. But yeah, I think that could be definitely on a much broader sense of topics. Like, have a first aid kit in your car before you need it. Have a battery charger in your car before you need it, or an air compressor thing, if you know, or whatever. Know where your emergency exits are, or have a plan to get out of your house, like all that sort of stuff. Be prepared.
I think the term is like situational awareness, and it goes back to people not looking around, not interacting with people. They're just not aware of what's happening. I think that's probably why robberies and violent crime is also on the rise. Think about how easy it is to sneak up on people these days. They're not paying attention to any of their surroundings.
Well, everything is noise canceling.
Yeah,
Like everything you own, it talks about the benefits of having the noise canceling capabilities. But
yeah,
all right, you're in a city. What's that? What good is that for you?
Yeah.
The other thing too is I feel like there's a general consensus nowadays. It's like, it's never going to happen to me.
That too.
Yeah.
Well, stuff could always happen when you're on the side of the road with a flat tire and you don't know how to use a jack or where your spare tire's located. And, that's when you're like, well, I wish I would have learned how to do X,
All right. Well, that was the first 10 on the list. We have about 20 or so more to go. We're going to break this up into a couple segments. Check back. We'll keep you posted as we post the videos. Check out our website for more stuff, verdicks.com. Until next time, shields up.
Shields up.